I was taking down my hair the other day and then it hit me. My growth looks a lot like my afro. Hey doll, welcome back to Faith Lately, your faith-filled girl talk podcast where girl talk meets God. I had a seemingly random realization the other day as I was unplaiting my hair that my growth looks a lot like my afro in the sense that it may seem small, but it's actually a lot bigger and a lot longer than it looks, than it seems. And it just got me thinking that, you know what, maybe I'm doing better than I actually realize. And it seems so random to tie hair to growth, but I love the way God ministers to us in the most simple ways using our everyday lives. So as I was undoing my hair, I was just realizing that my hair has grown a lot. And seeing the actual length was low-key quite shocking because in shrinkage, it looks like nothing is happening. But when your hair is stretched out, the growth is just undeniable. And it just made me realize that what you see daily isn't actually the full picture. So I don't think that growth is supposed to be measured daily, because if you measure your growth daily, similar to your hair, it's going to look like nothing is happening on a day-to-day basis. But when you've kept braids in for like 3 months and you finally undo your hair, that's when you see that, oh my goodness, my hair has grown so long. And it's literally the same with life. On a day-to-day basis, it might seem like nothing is happening, nothing is really changing, I'm not really growing. But if you look at your life in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, if you compare your life today to where you were last year or to where you were at the beginning of the year, that's when you'll be able to see that you have grown so much and you have progressed so much, even though it might not seem like it on a day-to-day basis. You also then come to realize that growth is very subtle and it's not this big dramatic thing. You only really notice it with distance and time. And when it comes to personal growth, you sometimes also only notice it when you're in similar situations that you were in before and you handle them differently. So sometimes we feel so stuck, but we're actually not stuck. We're just too close to see our growth. And how we choose to measure our growth can also be so misleading. Like similar to this cute little fro child, when it's in its shrinkage phase, it looks a lot smaller than it actually is. But just because it looks smaller doesn't mean it is smaller. So how we measure our growth really matters as well. And parallel to life, there are seasons where you feel stagnant, where you feel stuck, where you feel small and unnoticed, and it just feels like we're not growing, life is not changing, things are not moving. But the truth is your growth has not disappeared, it's just not visible yet. And sometimes it does feel like we're in a small season, but when you're stretched to your capacity, that's when you'll see that you have truly grown. And another thing is that growth looks different in every season, like similar to our hair. Your afro can be in its shrinkage era, it can be in its big, bold, beautiful era. It can be more curly than other days. If you sleep a certain way, you can wake up, it looks different. Like growth looks different in different seasons, and growth doesn't look one way. Your life and your personal growth doesn't have to look a certain way for it to be considered growth, because growth looks different in different seasons. So some seasons you're thriving, some seasons you're resting, some seasons you're pivoting, you're re-strategizing. Just because it looks different does not mean that it's not growth, and it doesn't mean that you're regressing. You don't have to look productive in order to be growing. Sometimes you grow in those different seasons. You grow in the small seasons, you grow in the big seasons, you grow in the quiet seasons, in the loud seasons. Growth is going to look different every single time, and whether it looks big or it looks small doesn't mean that you're not growing. Which also had me thinking about the seasons of like hidden growth. Like similar to when you have your hair in protective styles, you keep your hair in protective styles so that your hair can grow. But while you have the protective styles, you're not actively styling your hair, so it looks like nothing is happening, it looks like you're not doing anything, when in reality that's when your hair is growing the most. And that's so similar to life. There's certain things that we grow as individuals to do that may seem a bit pointless or just not look like we're growing or doing anything. And that can look like maybe setting boundaries, maybe learning how to say no, maybe not being a procrastinator anymore, waking up on time, like those kind of personal growth stuff that happen in the hidden seasons that nobody sees when you're fighting with your old identity and you're trying to become this new person, and you're changing your daily habits, these micro habits that you do every day, and it's hidden. Like nobody sees that. Nobody can look at you and say, oh my gosh, she's made so much progress, she's grown. It's very much a hidden season. It's very much a protective style. But that is the season of your life where you are growing the most, when it is invisible. I truly believe that God develops us in those hidden seasons. That's where he does his best work. Before he debuts you to the world, some of the most powerful growth happens in private, protective seasons, which just goes back to the fact that just because it's not visible does not mean that you're not growing. You might seem to be in the same place externally, or when people look at your life or measure it by external things, but you have actually grown so much, and the person that you were before is not the person that you are today, but you're just not yet in like a visible kind of season. But that growth that happens in the hidden place is the growth that's going to help you sustain that visible season, and it's going to help you actually continue to be the person that you have now become and not regress. Just because of all the work that was done in private, it's going to help you shine in public. And continuing with the hair analogy, letting go is a part of growth. Sometimes we need to trim our hair so that it grows healthier. Sometimes we need to literally do a big chop so that we can start from the beginning and grow long, beautiful, healthy hair. Like I cut my hair last year. I think it's been less than a year now, and I had to let go of my long dreadlocks. I had to let go of my gorgeous locks just so that I could grow beautiful, long, healthy hair again. And it's not even like my hair was damaged or it wasn't growing, but sometimes when you want to get to that next level, you want to get to that next place, you have to be willing to let go, even of things that you think are working, or even of things that are not necessarily broken or not necessarily wrong. Like sometimes some things in our lives are still working, but they're just not for us, or they're just not for the next place that we're going. We need to be able to also let go of the things that are seemingly going well or are seemingly good, if we know that there's a bigger picture and a bigger vision that we are working towards. And for me, even with cutting my dreadlocks, there was nothing wrong with my hair. I just wanted the opportunity to do braids and wigs and have my natural hair out and blowouts and whatever, and all these different kind of things. Like I just wanted the opportunity to have different hairstyles, and I wanted the opportunity to possibly look into creating hair content as well for fun, or adding that as one of my pillars. So it was also just like a strategic decision almost. But it's like I had this hair for like a good 4 years, and sometimes it's just time for change. It doesn't necessarily always have to mean that something is broken or something is not working. Sometimes you just have to let things go so that you can get something better. Sometimes you have to let go of the good to get the better. You know, letting go is a part of growth, and parallel to life, there's so much we have to let go of. Let go of certain habits, certain mindsets, people, like so much that we have to let go. And I'm a person who generally struggles with letting things go. Like if something is working, I want to hold on to it so tight. Even when I can see it starting to fall apart, I still want to hold on to it because I really struggle with letting go. But I've seen the beauty in letting things go. Like when you let things go, you also open up the space for God to restore and renew and redeem. You open up the space for God to give you better than what you ever thought you even wanted. Like you just open up the space for new things to fill your life, because when your life is just filled with the old, there isn't even room for something new to come in. So we also have to be okay with letting go of stuff in order to grow more, to grow bigger, to grow better. And before we close off this episode, I just want to encourage you to just reflect and think to yourself, where in your life might you be judging your growth a little bit too quickly? Where do you need to just step back, give it some time, and then look in a couple of months or a year and see whether you have grown. And I also just want to encourage you to think that you're probably doing so much better than you think you are. You're so close to your own life, so of course it's not going to look like you're making progress or you're growing, because you're with you on a daily basis and you're seeing your progress on a daily basis. But just think about if you had to zoom out and just see how far you've come within a certain period of time, or maybe externally, if other people look at your life, would they be able to see growth from who you were a couple of months ago to who you are today? So I just want to hold your hand, sis, and say that you are growing, even though it doesn't look like it. You're not behind. You are just in process. You just need to trust what's happening beneath the surface, what's happening in your hidden season. And before you know it, that growth is going to be so visible and undeniable. A verse that I really like that relates to this is the verse that says, "Do not despise the days of small beginnings," because the Lord loves to see the work begin. So if you feel like you're in small beginnings, if you feel like nothing is happening, just do not despise the days of small beginnings. Trust that the Lord is going to work with you and on you in your hidden private season. It's going to feel and maybe look like small beginnings, but in reality there's actually so much more growth than meets the eye. There's so much more growth than can be seen, and in time you will be seen. In time, the growth will be undeniable. And when you get to that point, child, you'll just give all the glory to God again. So here's to growing and glowing and continuing to become the women that God has called us to be. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, doll. Please make sure to subscribe, share it with another doll who needs help navigating her faith journey or just needs some encouragement. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.